Good evening. This is pjnet.tv. Tonight it was a night. YouTube, by the way, has made a minor change, and we had to adapt some things on this end to interface with them. So tonight is the first night that we are doing that, and I see that we are, in fact, on the air live on YouTube. Thank you all for joining us, those who are watching there. And we invite you to come join and watch the same thing at pjnet.tv. Well, what we do here is our mission is to provide a platform for everyday Christians to share their walk with Christ. Now, we have some people who are partners with us who agree to share with us once a month, and tonight is one of those occasions. But I thought it was a little touch and go because Ben Cooper joins us as scheduled tonight. But Ben, I was not real sure that we were going to do this tonight because you've endured a loss in your family in the past few days, and the period of time leading up to that has taken quite a toll on you. So Ben, thank you for persevering. If you wouldn't have been able to do it, we'd have found somebody to step in for you. But Ben, we grieve with you, and we send our prayers for you and to you for your family and yourself, Ben. But thank you for standing firm tonight.
I appreciate the prayers. Appreciate in the hospice unit, JD had a prayer for me, and was talking with him, and appreciate my PJNet family that's called or left messages. And it takes extended family, and that's what PJNet is to me and to those that are regularly here. But hard to believe, just like maybe when I go on vacation I'm not able to get on PJNet for a week, but I wasn't by all means was not on vacation last week. And you know what, Coach, it amazes me how tired and fatigued you can get doing absolutely nothing physically.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting in a hospital room for 12 hours a day. And that just a hard time. It's stress that's wearing you down. It's not physical labor, and sometimes maybe I wish it was physical labor, because not only does the stress wear you down, make you tired, but the same stress also makes it hard to sleep at night.
Ben, it's I think we've all been through something along those lines, but for me anyway, at the time it's happening, I somehow get the strength to do it. And then shortly thereafter, give it a couple of days, it all kind of crashed. And not only the physical strength, but the mental strength. I seem to endure that fine, but then 48 hours after it's all over, it all comes crashing down, and those defenses that you've put up just don't hold up for me as well. You were how long of a period did this ordeal
Well,
span?
for those that don't know, my dad passed away a week ago tonight, or this afternoon. This afternoon, about 4:30 a week ago Tuesday. Dad passed away, and my mom, my brother, my sister-in-law, and I were there. Uh, and it was a peaceful passing. It was what you would hope for when somebody passes, and there's no shame in losing somebody. An 88-year-old life, 88 and a half year old is considered a long life. That's above average even today for
Mm-hmm.
men. I think the average is still about 72.
Right.
But Dad was, in the last several months, a lot of things. I'm not going to go into all the different things, but it just seems like a lot of things started cascading in the wrong direction, spiraling in. Dad didn't want to eat, and just a combination of things made things go probably in the last couple months, uh, spiraling down. And then ultimately, he spent from a week ago Saturday night till Tuesday in hospice care. Um, a week ago Saturday, I was working, and it was a warm day for us Northerners up here, and so I took it as a good opportunity to go check in a couple of my out yards, and I was at three different places checking on bees. And I got in and got a phone call, and had missed two other phone calls, and it's one of those phone calls you don't ever want to get. You need to be in the hospital at Pittsburgh now. And so, as quick as I could, I had kind of half a ready bag ready with clothes and things, and it didn't take too much. But I'm over 2 hours away from where I grew up and where my family are. So for me to get there, it took about 2 hours. And you're kind of worried about driving, getting there, and not being late. But what had happened is I got there. I got to talk to just kind of maybe a minute to tell Dad that, hey, I'm here. Uh, I just got in here while the nurse is giving morphine in the IV,
Mm.
and my dad's eyes rolled into the back of his head, and that's the last he opened his eyes from that time until he passed. And so we don't know, Coach. My mom every day would come in, and I'd bring her in, and she would talk to him. And um, you don't know what people hear. You don't know what they are taking in. It's just he didn't have the ability to respond because of the morphine and the medicine that he was on. I uh, did something. I'm going to assume. I hope Barbara's in the chat room, because she
She
most
is.
always is.
She is.
Um, I did something that most people would say would be hard, but I actually sang at my dad's memorial or celebration of life uh, um, service, and I thought it was easier for me to sing than it was for me to speak.
Really?
If Because I'm glued to the notes and the music, uh, and not so much the emotion is easier for me to block, I guess, for me to get the message out. But some people didn't know that I could do that, and that's one of those hidden talents that comes out every once in a while. But the amazing thing is, um, the people that shocked me, that showed up at visitation or at the service, that I never expected. People my dad never knew, but they knew me, and they showed up for my support and my family support. And that just blew me away. And, um, I can't thank people enough. It's just a tough time to go through, but uh, the bottom line is the family, we all knew where Dad would be. I lost a nephew in May, and that was my dad's best friend, buddy, and he spent time with him every single day. And so he lost his oldest grandson, and and we just know that there was a reunion um, in
Mm-hmm.
heaven with those two. He lost a brother and a son as well, and so there's some for the Christian, for the believer. Death isn't the end. It isn't the worst case scenario. It's actually the best case scenario. When we pray for somebody to be healed, I can't help but figure or think that heaven is the ultimate healing, where there are no tears, there's no health issues. And I sent you a picture, and you can post that whenever you feel ready to do that. But I just wanted to take a few minutes, because a lot of people didn't know my dad. And one of his proudest moments, and there is such a thing as the National Farm Toy Hall of Fame. It's out in Dyersville, Iowa. You would probably be more familiar with the movie Field of Dreams, where they took a cornfield and built a baseball field in it. It's still there. It's 6 miles out of Dyersville, Iowa. But in 2010, my dad was inducted into the Toy Farmer Hall of Fame. And that's one of the pictures that is my dad. And the reason why he was inducted is because of a lot of things. Not only did he write some articles with the help of my nephew and my mom with some of the typing and those skills, but he wrote for the Toy Farmer magazine, and he restored probably about 1,000. We're figuring about 1,000 pedal tractors, and these are these toys made of cast aluminum that kids love to ride. And he started in about 1980, started having kids pedal tractor pulls, and he didn't do it just in his own backyard. He did it a lot of places, and the furthest away was Anchorage, Alaska, where he sent and mailed a tractor and a weight transfer sled up there and conducted the first toy show that they had in Anchorage, Alaska. And he went up 3 times with some of his toy buddies, and they did that. And that was a fun thing for him to do. Amazingly, at 88 years old, there was several young people that were there because Dad several years ago helped encourage a local FFA chapter to have a toy show to raise money. And some of those people that were involved with that toy show for the local high school were there. And he lived out his dream of about the time that he retired from milking cows. He started changing from milking cows to restoring pedal tractors. And there's an art to it. And Dad wanted to pass that on to me or to somebody else, but he was able to get another guy that's locally available. And Vern took over the helm from that a few years ago. But my legacy, you know, there's a few times, 3 times a year, that I'm away at a steam show, whether it's, we did a program on showing pictures of making apple cider, but we rebuilt a log cabin, and my dad and brother and I and some others, but we rebuilt an old log cabin and made a trading post. And so whether it's a liability or a legacy, I'm trying to figure out which. Dad's left that to me to maintain and deal with when it's open 3 times a year. So he lived an extraordinary life. Not too many people have a hobby that allows you to travel a lot and go to places and meet a lot of people and have fun in the process. And so I appreciate those people that came to the service, that shared, whether through sending cards or notes and electronically to me and to the family. But it's hard to say goodbye. There's a hole anytime somebody that people would say in the line, well, I've known your dad for 30 years, ever since my son got a pedal tractor and he restored it or whatever. I said, well, I've known him all my life. And, you know, and, but there's a lot of stories that went on about people and how Dad touched the young, the middle-aged, the old, all alike. One guy said, my mom called him and said, I hate to tell you, but Wayne passed away. And he said, I only had 2 friends in this world, and he was one of them. And so my dad was, I joke with people and say that he was vaccinated with a phonograph needle. And some people the chaplain at the hospice unit kind of looked at me. He came in Sunday morning, a week ago, Sunday morning, and said, tell me about Wayne. And I said, first off, you got to realize he was vaccinated with a phonograph needle. And he looked at me strange, and he didn't understand. And I said, Dad liked to talk. He called people all over the United States, the lower 48, because anything beyond that was a cold call. He did call Alaska whenever he was working with them, but he talked, and he was on the phone constantly. And one of the hints, the clues that I knew that Dad was failing, he didn't want to talk on the phone anymore.
Mm.
Not only did he not want to eat, but he didn't want to talk on the phone anymore. And so, for somebody that has done that for the last 40 years of their life, it was pretty serious.
Ben, I noticed when you posted the announcement and I read the obituary, it mentioned that people could send a way of honoring your father by sending a donation to the describe what that is, where it is, and what is the. There's got to be a story there.
The property where the log cabin is that we restored is on 25 acres that is owned by the Northwest Pennsylvania Antique Tractor and Steam Engine Association. And so it has a blacksmith shop. It has, uh, I think, the only working steam powered well driller that is still active. And so there's steam engines, there's antique tractor pulls, there's all kinds of stuff that's the old school of doing things. And so there's antique cars that go, and 3 times a year they have a show. And that's what Dad encouraged anybody he ever came across. Didn't matter if you lived 30 minutes away or 3,000 miles away, he would come to the steam show. We just called it the steam show. And he hung out at the log cabin. And since I retired, I've been going up, letting him go and talk with people. And he would wander off and be gone for an hour or two. And I would kind of man the log cabin and be there. So we just thought not everybody's into giving flowers. So if somebody wanted to give in his name to that, that's what we did. And I kind of advertised my advertisement for this program. I had many of you might have seen it, but I had a hard right with a traffic sign with a right turn, with a 90-degree turn. And I crossed that out instead of RIGHT, WRITE, because that obituary that you read, I didn't have much time, but it was being the writer, one of the writers in the family, it was kind of just given to me to do that. And because of deadlines for newspaper, I did not have much time to do that and pull that together. So I'm calling that a hard right. We are told as writers to expand and go into other genres. I was talking with my dear friend, she hopefully in the chat, but talking to Rachel earlier today. And I asked Rachel, I said, is writing obituaries considered a genre? And she said, yes, it is. And that is a hard right, especially if you're really close to the subject matter. And between son and father, that what if you forget some major event? What if you you try to be as concise, but cover all the bases, and that wasn't the easiest thing to do. And the time frame was really limited because I had very little time to pull that together.
Well, it life can be tough, Ben, but the reassurance that the eternal life that your father's enjoying, and his first name was Wayne, you said?
Yes.
Wayne Cooper.
Yep.
And the memories that people have of him will certainly live a long time. And I maybe someday I'll get to see that log cabin. Is there a steam shovel there, by the way?
They have a drag line that they run sometimes. So instead of a steam shovel, it's a drag line where you put it out and steam powered pulls it back in.
Yeah.
So they run demonstrations of that on a regular basis. The cider press is run by steam power, 90 ton of pressure that's driven by steam. So there's just a lot of old equipment, tractors, and bragging rights for the tractor pull whichever color, green or red or some other color. Some people are pretty particular about all that stuff.
I understand. Well, I'm fascinated when we think of steam power. That's something from antiquity, but it was a steam shovel that built the Panama Canal. And,
Right.
I think of that as an engineering marvel, but I also just found out it was a steam shovel did not build the Erie Canal. You know what did? Pickaxes, dynamite, and hard work. It was
Hard work.
yeah, that was done by hand, and it too is an engineering marvel. But so many good things. And Ben, I can only speculate, but I think I'm fair in saying if your father was the blessing to others that you have been to us, I know that many people's lives are better because they met Wayne Cooper. And Ben, I know that my life, and I speak confidently for the entire PJNet family. My life is better. Our lives are better because you have intersected with us, and I think God does these things. I think it is it's not by accident, but it's more than that. There is a purpose in each intersection that we have with others. And Ben, I know it's difficult, and I feel like I need to wish you a rapid recovery. For a while, our PJNet team was kind of nicked up. Doug Carter had a close call with a widowmaker,
Yeah.
and he is going to be weeks just getting back to any semblance of normal. But Ben, I know that you will not only rebound, you'll rebound strongly, and we're just glad that you were able to share with us tonight. I know it's hard, Ben, but we love you and we care for you, and thank you for giving us a window to observe your life and the life of your father here on our program tonight, and we appreciate it, Ben.
I appreciate, and it works both ways, Coach. The PJNet family, I'm better because of those that are part of the PJNet family, and it goes both ways. So I appreciate the encouragement and the support that I received, and I just wanted to share part of Dad's memory with my PJNet family.
Ben, we're all better for it. We appreciate it, brother.
Thank you.
All right, Ben Cooper, that was a tough one. Folks, we've had some moments. We've had moments of extreme joy and extreme sorrow, but that's the nature of our existence here on this planet. But in the next life, there will be, it'll just be the joy. That's the good news. So, we appreciate Ben. We love Ben, and we feel, or I do, feel so powerless, to do anything about it. But keep Ben and his family in your prayers. That is powerful, and you can do that from wherever you're at. Well, I've got another program coming up at the bottom of the hour with Del Didway. We hope that you will stay put for that. And while I'm getting everything ready and making the preparations, I do have an assignment that would benefit you. I know this is true because it has benefited me. Here's the challenge. Ask yourself these two questions and be candidly, brutally honest in answering them to yourself. Two questions. The first is, what is the boldest thing that you have ever done for Jesus Christ? And the second question is, when was that? And no matter your answer to those two questions, the challenge is to never be satisfied with either answer.